Alrighty, today we're going to be doing a little heat inspection on this pane furnace here. First thing I like to do is a quick visual inspection. Look at the gas pipe, make sure everything looks sorted away. Make sure everything's pipe doped properly, sealed properly. Also the flue pipe, it's pretty good to go ahead and just take note that it is taped. We'll do a carbon monoxide test on it later and verify if it's any good or not. If it's good, obviously it's not going to pass inspection looking like this, but they're not selling the home and I'm not putting a new unit in today. We're just simply doing a heat inspection. Next thing you do here, let's go ahead and remove our door. And the bottom screws on these are going to be 1/4-inch screws. Sometimes they'll have them on the side as well on these units. This one only has 2 on the top. We'll remove that door, put him somewhere safe. Alrighty, so now we're going to do our safety test. Basically there's a few sensors inside this furnace we want to check out. We want to check out our pressure switch, which basically is supposed to tell us if this inducer motor is properly running or not. We also want to check out our flame sensor, which is attached to the end of this wire and actually goes into the jet stream to verify that the flame is on. And we also wanted to go ahead and test this sensor in the back here. It's the overheat sensor, and if the unit does overheat, it'll shut itself off. And it could overheat for a couple different reasons. It could overheat because it's got a dirty filter, or if the blow motor's not working properly. In this case, we'll go ahead and change the filter out. It wasn't properly put in, and the back side's blowing out of it. And you want to make sure that your arrow is facing the furnace. Okay, so in a situation like this, it's always going to face up. In an attic unit, you just have to know, where your filter base is and where your furnace is, and make sure that arrow is pointing at your furnace. Alright, the first one we're going to check is our pressure switch here. We're going to let the unit fire, and then I'm going to clamp that hose down with my fingers, and at that point the unit should shut off. Because that pressure switch will no longer be sensing proper pressure. And the whole time you're doing this test, you always want to keep your eyes on the jets. And just make sure everything's nice and straight and it looks clean. If you have a whole lot of orange in your flame, then you want to make sure you are very careful when you do that carbon monoxide test and properly check it. So, we're going to go ahead, pitch that off, jet shut off, and it's going to go through a 45-second cycle. The next thing we're going to test is our flame sensor. So we just want to verify that our flame sensor works. It's pretty simple. Once the jets kick on, basically what we're going to do is pull that wire off of the flame sensor, and the unit should immediately shut off, just as it did before with the pressure switch. Let me go ahead and remove this wire. It turns off. Now another thing, the whole time you're doing this, you really want to be real visual on your visual inspection. Look at wires, look at where they run across metal, make sure there's no rubbing or anything like that. Also, you want to take a look at your flame sensor down here and just verify that it is in reasonably decent condition. As you can tell, this one's pretty dirty. It's not terrible, I've seen it way worse. But a lot of times if they're dirty, people will clean them. And you can clean them with alcohol and cotton swab. That's the most recommended way. However, a lot of people clean them with sandpaper. I find, in my opinion, that cleaning them in general is not real helpful. They tend to go bad, and the part's reasonably cheap to replace, so usually once it's dirty, you just want to note it. Hey, I recommend replacing it, because in my past experiences, I clean them and then I'm back in a week replacing them anyways, and the customer ends up having to pay to have it cleaned, and then also pay to have it replaced, and it kind of upsets them. So in a lot of cases, it's just easier. Just go ahead and recommend replacing it. That way, if it does go bad and they decide not to replace it, they'll give you a call back, you know, and you can come back and replace it. Okay, so now what we're gonna do is test this sensor right here in the back. This is the high limit sensor. If the unit for, you know, the blower motor's not running, or if the filter's dirty, or if there's too much gas pressure or whatever may have you, but if this unit gets too hot, then that sensor right there is gonna shut it down. So what I've done is I've disconnected the wire that powers the blower motor, and we're going to go ahead and let it run. This can take in between 45 seconds to a minute and a half, and the unit should shut off. If it doesn't shut off in that amount of time frame, then either that sensor needs to be replaced, or, you know, we got to have a control board. But all these checks are designed around the safety of the unit. Basically what I want to do whenever I do a heat inspection is verify that the unit is safe to operate. Anything else is simply just a recommendation. Yeah. Alrighty, now the unit is shut off. Now the unit's going to go through a process where it's cooling itself down. Right now is the best time to go ahead and do your carbon monoxide check, because the heat exchanger will be at its warmest. Okay, so what we're doing is a little carbon monoxide test. We're going to let the furnace burn for about 5 minutes and check and make sure it doesn't go up or down. Of course, it shouldn't go down. It should stay at 0. But anything past 3 parts per million, I shut them off. But even at 1 part per million, you know, there's something going on there that's not right, and you got to talk to the customer about it and let them know that they do have a hole somewhere in their heat exchanger. It may be a small hole, but they definitely have a hole. Alrighty, now we're gonna check the thermostat. I just like to pull them off the wall. It's kind of one of the last things I do on my way out the door. And I just want to verify that all these wires are tight. If they're not tight, it's pretty simple. You just go ahead and tighten them up with the Phillips. These are all tight. That's what we want. The last thing, of course, you know, you ask the customer what temperature they recommend, or what temperature they want it on. In this case, they want it to be a comfortable 74. Alrighty, so this furnace is safe to use. There's a few things that aren't exactly up to par, and we'll note them and we'll talk to the customer about them. But overall, it is a safe unit to operate. So we're going to put them back together. Don't hesitate to give us a call if you watch this video. Right now we do have a special going on. We'll probably keep it on for the rest of this winter. For $39.95 you can get, or I'm sorry, $34.95 you can get a heat inspection. So they're relatively inexpensive. And it does bring a lot of comfort to mind knowing that your system's operating properly, or if there are a few little small worn out parts, to be a little bit preventative and get them changed out before you're completely stuck without heat on the coldest day of the year. So don't hesitate to call us at 972-955-9640. Thank you and have a blessed day.